Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. It's Jessica Hicks here. I'm a corporate recruiter, and I'm back with a live stream, which I'm super excited about this topic of college degree programs that actually pay well. I will actually be responding to, in this video, an article that I found yesterday put out by monster.com. Oh, technical difficulty. I had YouTube open too. Oops. So I'll basically be responding to this article that I saw on Monster. And if you don't know what monster.com is, I actually linked the article in the about section. But monster.com is kind of one of those staple job search sites. Companies use it for posting their jobs out there, and then a lot of people do search Monster for different jobs. And they also provide different topics on career advice, from students to those of us that have been professionals for a while, and even salary tools if you're trying to figure out, what type of salary you should be looking at for a certain job. So this is an article I'm going to be reading, 9 degrees that put you on the fast track to 100K. And I'm going to just describe the article here and give my own thoughts from being a recruiter at a large consumer packaged goods company. I've also recruited at other companies as well and worked in talent development and HR. So I'm pretty close to the market. So I'm gonna determine if these degree programs are really true and whether I agree or not. And then I do have my own list of degrees that are going to be crucial going into 2021 and beyond. So these are the things and skills and education that companies will be looking for. And I feel that literally students should be studying now, or if you're going back to school. So I do just want to address No Tooth Tony interviews. Hello, welcome to the chat. And hello, Cubston, my moderator. Hello, hello. So I am just going to go ahead and get started here. So well, looking at monster.com, this first degree program that they're saying can get you to 100K is petroleum engineering. Now, their point with this is that petroleum products have been at a premium. However, I feel like that is a good degree program. However, it's not just petroleum engineering. And I don't know why they started with petroleum first, but saying, you can start out making about 100K a year, a little over that. I agree, but I also think that students should look into, aeronautical or aerospace engineering. That is a big one. There's so much money going into aerospace, and right now, sure, there are some challenges, but at the end of the day, that's really a crucial staple at any country. So any country you can look at international, you can move to different countries and still get a job. I think that would be my number one pick over petroleum. Also, I do see, and I think a lot of us see, the transition from, moving from oil to other methods and more eco-friendly ways to use energy. So, even nuclear engineering, chemical engineer, those type of engineers can really get a high pay too. And I don't understand why Monster did not list those, but that would be definitely a number one. You can start out, with 100K and just continue to grow your career. So that would be the number one. Number two on the list, and one that I do agree with, is computer engineering. Yes, yes, yes. And the reason I say computer engineering, I agree with that being on here. You don't always necessarily, with computer engineering, start out making 100K, but you can definitely start out here in the United States making about 70,000 to 80,000 a year. And within 3 years, you should be on, a track, or you should be at making about $100,000 a year, just depending on how you're using that degree. So, with computer engineering, a lot of folks think that you have to move into, coding and development. Not necessarily. There's so many jobs within IT But to get your start, you do have to have a really solid foundation that companies will look for. Something else I'll add in here is I get a lot of questions particularly on my Instagram page, which is just Jobs from Jess, but from international folks and international students. And they always ask about how they can either get a job in the United States, or, how can they make sure that a company will be able to sponsor them for a job because they're already here. Maybe they have a student visa, they have an internship, but the company can't sponsor them. And, having a really solid degree program like computer engineering is really crucial for that, because when a company is making their case, they're going to use your education. And if it's one of those that's not, not everyone has like a marketing degree, they basically have to show that there is a lack in the skill set. So if you have a degree like computer engineering, it's easier to do that. The other thing about computer engineering is it just opens up different doors for you. It teaches you problem solving, and that's literally what companies need right now. So no matter what field you go into within IT or whatever space you decide, whether it's hardware, software design, any high-tech field, their minimum is probably going to be a computer science or a computer engineering type of degree. So I definitely agree with that one. Within 3 years, you're definitely on the track to make 100K. And you have plenty of options, whether you want to be technical or you want to move into something more functional where you're working with clients and kind of being a liaison between the coders or developers and, more of the business personnel. So I would agree with Monster on that one. Number 3 is economics. Now, economics is a degree where and Monster is saying the starting pay is about $56,000. Economics degrees are tough for me because it really depends on what you do as a student as you're getting that degree. Like, what is your plan and what do you actually want to do with that degree? What are you doing during your time at college to really enhance your skills to make it marketable? I think economics degrees are marketable when you are able to move into something where it's very analysis based. However, what I've seen with economics degrees is they graduate and they don't really know what they want to do, because it can be a little broad. Some folks end up going to law school. It is a great degree for that. But, other folks, they just want to have an economics degree because they learn about history and maybe they want to do something at that level. That's probably not going to pay so well. Maybe political science, it really depends on what you do with that. And what Monster is saying is that the starting pay is $56,000. Now that's about average pay in the US. I would not say that necessarily leads you to a high track. It really depends on where you go. I think if you can move into something that is scientific and very technical, where you're consulting and you're doing a lot of heavy analysis for companies, like maybe you're working with Deloitte or Ernst & Young or one of these big consulting firms, then yes, that can be a fast track to 100K for you. However, if you don't want to work in consulting, and I will tell you, consulting can be challenging. You're going to work long hours. You're going to work with multiple clients. It can be a challenge, but it can be rewarding. You can definitely get to 100K, but I think it will take you more time to get there, which is what Monster is leaving out of this article. It will take you more time to get there. So that would not be my third pick at all. And I'm just going to address some comments here for a quick second, and then I'll get back into the list. So we're at number 3 with economics. Let's see here. Hello, everybody. I see a lot of comments coming in. Okay, hi. So Cubston said, I would pick aeronautical over petroleum engineer. Why? Chemical, yeah, but I'm not aeronautical for sure. So for me right now, yes, there's some challenges for aeronautical, but that's going to be here. Governments are always going to bail out, their airspace. Like, they need it. In times of war, they need it. Just in everyday functions, it is going to be needed. It is going to be crucial. So that's why I say yes. And I know the starting pay, looking at this from more of a starting pay, aeronautical engineer, definitely. Petroleum, the only reason I say be careful with that one is just because here in the United States, we are really shifting to more eco-friendly forms of energy, and the long-term track for that may not be the best. So that's why I said that, Cubston. And I'll show your comment up here so everyone sees. I find that people focus too much on work and spend too much time on working. I'm going to come back to that because I do have some thoughts. I agree with you, Wick. But thank you, Mr. B. Thank you. I appreciate the comments. Okay, so getting back in here. So we talked about number 3, economics. The next one is actually, so chemical engineering. Yes, I did address that earlier. I would definitely agree. Chemical engineering would be a top pick, fast track to 100K. What Monster is saying at the 75th percentile, which is going to be the higher end of a company's salary range of pay. They're paying about $70,000 starting out. I do agree with that. And over the years, again, I feel like within 3 years, you should be either close to 100K or at about 100K. Now, applied mathematics is on this list, and this is another one. So this is number 5. This is one that I say, again, it just depends on what you do, because if someone's studying applied mathematics, but you want to be a teacher, well, being a math teacher is not going to get you to 100K. Now, if you're going to be a professor at a college, maybe, but we even see that shifting now with people questioning, do people really need college right now? And do people want to go to these Ivy League universities? So there could be a shift with that too. But I think for applied mathematics, this is one that's broad enough for you to have a lot of options. And one thing that Monster pointed out here is if you can learn to use techniques like modeling, data modeling in particular, I think that is going to be huge. Data analytics and data modeling, this is something that all companies are wanting. Government, you'll be able to find a job if you can get that specific. However, it's going to be up to that person taking that degree program to really figure out what track they want to go on. Either are you going on a teacher route because you're probably going to be making about $50,000, $60,000 a year. Otherwise, you can go on another route that is more technical. And again, I'm coming back to the technical piece of that. Showing those hard skills, and you can move into working with businesses to really problem solve for them. And that's where you get that 100K plus salary. So I hope everyone understands my point on that one. It comes to, what is the student actually going to do with that degree? And with some of the broader degrees, it gets a little muddy, I'll say, because there's sometimes too many options, and someone ends up just kind of being like, I'm just going to take whatever job is available. And I think that is going to be something that may happen over the course of the next 1 to 2 years, just because of the market that we're in right now. So that was applied mathematics. I don't agree with that one being on the list. The 75th percentile starting pay for that one is $64,000. I just don't feel like that. If you're looking to be at 100K 3 years out of college, I don't think that's going to be it, unless you add in and you specify and you really focus on the technical modeling. All right, so the next one up here is physics. Physics, I don't understand why physics is on this list. Now, it depends on what you do with a physics degree. So Monster is saying 75th percentile starting pay is about $59,000 here in the US again. Now, I can agree with that. I like physics because it does teach you, how to think logically, problem solving. That is something that is definitely helpful. However, it all depends on what you're going to do with it. Again, if you're going to study physics and you are going to go into education, you're probably not going to be making 100K fast. However, if maybe you move into the medical field, or you do something else with that degree, possibly, possibly, but it just may take you longer. Now, Monster has laid out the amount of years to get to 100K for a physics degree. It's saying 10 to 12 years. Now, do you want to wait 10 to 12 years to get to 100K? I don't think so. And I'm sure that's not why you're watching. So for me, physics is not one of those degrees that's going to get you to 100K. And to the point of this article, if it does get you to 100K, you do need to be specific, and it's going to take you longer to get there. Because again, the starting pay is 60, close to 60, not even quite 60K. All right, so next up on the list here is statistics. Now, I like statistics degrees for what they teach, because again, it goes back to the problem solving and being able to forecast. And that is a skill that companies do like to see. Governments, of course, everyone, like, we need statisticians, right? However, again, if you're studying statistics and you want to move into data analytics, that is a hot field. Every company from Google to IBM, Nestle, they're looking for data analytics folks, people that really understand that, because that's really where we're moving. People need to understand data. We need to understand how to use data, and that skill can be very crucial. However, statistics is, again, you have to make a choice on what you want to do. So with this one, the 75th percentile starting pay is $58,000. The amount of years that Monster is saying for a statistics, just in general, statistics degree person will reach $100,000 is going to be 10 to 12 years. Now I'm going to go back up to the other job. So petroleum engineer, the amount of years was 0 to 3 years. Like, you can start out making 100K. Computer engineering, I don't agree with the amount of years, but they say 7 to 9. I would drop that down to 3 to 5, just depending on what type of job you want to do. And then, as we kind of go along the list, it starts trending upward. So just keep that in mind. Now, there are 2 others on the list before I swap to sharing my thoughts on what are the skills that you really need to study right now in college. So the next one is finance. I think finance is a good degree. My issue with finance sometimes is there are some companies out there that want people that have accounting degrees. Like, they want people to have those hard accounting skills. Even if you're moving into a finance liaison or finance manager or finance analysis type of role, and something that I think a lot of colleges typically promote is to have a finance and an accounting degree. Like, if you're able to get both of those degrees, it will make you stronger in the marketplace. So with this one, the starting pay in the 75th percentile is going to be $54,000. And I do agree with that. Someone straight out of college, I have hired, accounting specialists, finance specialists, financial analysts. I've hired these folks. That's about right, just depending on where you are within the United States. So that's probably about the average. I agree. And, I think if you're studying finance, it's going to take you longer. Finance, you're going to start making about 100K more so in the corporate world when you start taking on management duties, and as you take on more duties with higher end clients if you're working in a consultant space. So Monster is saying it's going to take about 10 to 12 years to reach 100K. I don't really agree with that. I think it can be shorter than that. It just depends on the person. Again, with finance, it gets a little tricky. It just depends on where you want to go. If you focus on corporate finance and financial analysis and what I always recommend if you're in the corporate space is you need to leave a company after probably about 3 to 4 years if you're looking to make a big increase, like 10 to 15% increase in your pay. If you transition and maybe you've been at, 2, 3 companies, within about 7 to 8 years, you'll probably be at about 100K, if not close to it, because you have gained a lot of different skills from various places. Of course, starting out with finance and accounting, you need to be focused on your ability to not only analyze financials, but talk about them and talk about it in layman's terms, because this is something hiring managers have told me time and time again that they're looking for from their finance and accounting folks. Typically, when you look at someone, I would say even heavier on accounting degrees, they're a little introverted. They want to, do the work on the computer and that's it. Don't want to really talk to different people. However, to get to that 100K, $100,000, financial and accounting degrees, like once you get into that workplace in the corporate environment, you're going to need to communicate with different stakeholders throughout the company in order to, kind of level up. That's really what you're going to be looking for. And most likely you're going to learn to manage people at some point to really get into that higher income bracket. So those are my tips there. Definitely the analytical stuff and just problem solving is going to be what gets you in the door with companies, but what increases your skills and what really makes you a viable employee that's really bringing a lot of value is your ability to really talk to stakeholders. So talk to folks that don't know anything whatsoever about finance and help them get buy-in from them, help them really understand their budgets and understand from closing the books or whatever is needed on the corporate end, how you can work with them to find that balance. Those are some soft skills that are needed. So in addition to that degree, you can lean on the degree, but you'll have a lot of key learnings as well as you go along in the workplace. I would say the same thing for IT professionals. With getting higher income, you would be taking on more responsibilities, most likely, whether it's technical or functional. The thing about computer engineering is that you can kind of go either route. So if you did want to stay technical, stay away from people, you can still be making above 100K. However, with some of the other degree fields I'm looking at, you're going to need some of those soft skills to really get you over, into that 100K bracket. So the last one on this list, I don't really agree with at all, is international relations. Now, I have an international studies and international business degree, and this all just depends on what a person wants to take away from it. I know a lot of folks that actually have a international relations or international studies degree, and a lot of times the plan for them is to actually be an ambassador or work at some international organization, right? Well, for an international relations degree, the 75th percentile starting pay is about $49,000. Like, I'm crying. Like, no, that's not great. So starting pay, 49,000. So about probably a little below average. And what they're saying on monster.com is that the amount of years that it would take to get to 100K would be 10 to 12 years. Now, it's just so broad for me. This is not on my list. I don't agree with this. I'm so sorry if someone in the chat does have an international relations degree. However, I do not agree with this. It's basically a liberal arts degree, and they do state that in here. And it's just so broad. Like, what are the hard skills that you really learn with that? And I talk about this myself. Like, international studies for me, I added on because I enjoyed learning about, different cultures and just how companies interact with each other and globalism and all of that. But it's not a degree that I would tell someone, if you want to make 100K real fast, that you should study it. You would really have to have a real plan of how you're going to use this degree, because you can do anything with that degree. It's one of those degrees that you get because you're wanting to say that you have a degree because you want to be able to go into any company. Well, when you're less specific, it gets a little harder to really build a track of where you can go. So with this, I mean, you can do research, you can maybe become a consultant as well. I already mentioned, working for a different foreign agency or government agency. Those are some jobs you can take on. But a lot of times with this degree, there is no real plan of what someone is going to do after college. So that's my struggle with that one. I would not have put that on the list. That's just me saying that. I do not work for Monster, but there you have it. Those were the ones that Monster recommended. Now I'm going to jump to what I recommend. And sorry, guys, I have lots of things going on. Okay, so engineering, I agree with. Computer engineering, I agree with. And chemical. So all the engineering, any engineering, I do agree with. Now, before I get into the list, actually, because I did see some other comments, let me kind of back up here and then I'll get into my list of the skills and degree programs. Some of these are even certificate programs that you can get to fast track to 100K. All right, let's see here. And hi, this is Latanya Yvette. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, cousin. Yes, thank you. Yes, please do remember to like and share it out. If you know someone in college right now and they don't know what to study, share this video with them, because especially if they're going into debt for it, it's just not worth it. For some of these degrees, it's not worth it. Let's see here. And no to Tony showed me some love. Appreciate it. Okay, so I will go back to this comment from Wick. Yes, people, and I don't know where you are in the world, Wick, but especially here in the United States, we spend a lot of time working, and I think the balance for that is to find a work environment that promotes work flexibility. I think that's really important. And then the other part of that is really owning your calendar and making sure that you're taking time for yourself. I think that's one way that you can get beyond that. So no, but I 100% agree with you. Let's see, Mr. B, and thank you so much for your nice comment. You're so kind. Mr. B says he doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up. Okay, well, that's all right. You figure it out, you do research, and you'll get to something that you like. A lot of times, the majority of people change their careers throughout their life. I think the number is now 3 times. The average person, average American, will switch different careers. So you just have to try things out. Hey, Bernesh Junk Closet, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to hold this comment up as I kind of go through here. Hello, Easy. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Easy has a book out, so I keep forgetting to look into your book. But yes, thank you for joining. And hello, Embracing Everyday Realities. Welcome. Glad you're here. Let me see. Mr. B says, I want to be a nuclear physicist, but I'll settle for cabinet making or similar trade. Well, so really what I'm getting to at this video is, and you've heard me say it a few times, technical, like what is the actual skill that you're getting? So a lot of the soft skills you're going to attain from working with people or either taking on trainings where you are actually building the skill through mock, happenings, like different events, and you're being trained on them or you're learning on the go. So like business administration, a lot of that you just learn on the go. Entrepreneur, different degrees, you learn on the go. So there are some essentials that you can take on, but again, a lot of the soft skills you learn through, like for example, presenting. I do like that, students typically do learn how to present to an audience. That's something that's going to continue throughout your career. You're always presenting to people, whether it's one person or a group of 25 people. It just depends. It's a skill that you have. But having a trade, something hard that you can actually do, stepping out of a any kind of school, that is really crucial. And that's what I believe we're missing from a lot of these degree programs. Let's see. Mr. B says he doesn't want to be an ambassador. I can be easily bribed. Well, that's not going to be good at any workplace if you can be bribed. All right, I think I got through those. Hello, Fire Squad. Oh, Fire Squad Reaction, you changed your name. Well, welcome. Glad to see you here. So I just went through the list from monster.com and talked about what I agree and what I don't agree with. Now, here are the skills coming from me that I say definitely will get you on a fast track to 100K. Now, we know about the medical field. Obviously, most jobs within medicine, outside of maybe a respiratory therapist, maybe a nurse starting out, is not going to have you at 100K like immediately. However, over the course of a few years, for example, registered nurses should be on a track to get 100K. And then again, they can go back into becoming a practitioner, and they can move into 100K even easily. Also within medicine, healthcare IT, there's all of these different healthcare systems that you need people to manage. So getting a degree in healthcare IT or healthcare management with a focus on IT can be crucial. Those are not typically the heavy coding, programming type of jobs. However, thinking about those as more people that understand the system and the data, how to get the data, how to code things correctly for hospitals and things of that nature. Those folks, you don't have to be heavily technical, but it's a great degree to have for sure. Now, let's see here. Digital marketing is a newer one. A lot of students have gotten marketing degrees and journalism degrees and public relations degrees, and I have worked at a large public relations and communications firm myself, a global firm. And what they were looking for at the time was definitely heavy journalism and marketing degrees. However, when I started working there, there was a huge shift for people that understood SEO, SEM, basically digital marketing and online marketing, and how to understand that world as it was just transitioning. Now, I do feel students should, if they don't want to fully focus on having a digital marketing specific degree, they should at least have a certification or something that ties along with that, because most companies are looking for that skill. Whether you're gonna, kind of focus on e-commerce or something in that space, you definitely need to move away from more of the soft degrees. Again, marketing gives you that essential background that you need to understand how do we market to people effectively. However, in today's space, you need to have a digital focus for sure. And for someone that's looking to make 100K, well, I hired someone earlier this year. They had roughly 3 or 4 years of experience. Some of it was consulting. The other mix of it was his own entrepreneurial work that he was doing. But he had the skill. He had the e-commerce skills that we were looking for, and he had these soft skills and the behaviors that we were looking for to work with different stakeholders within the company. So he got a job paying over 100K, some nice bonuses and things like that to really, move him forward. And that is what we'll see. We're going to see companies really look for those type of hard skills. So digital marketing for sure. I agree with the computer engineering. However, I do feel like even for computer engineers, there should be a space that they figure out within about 3 years if they want to focus on, whether that is, cybersecurity, another really high paying area, or data analytics, data management, all of these different fields, that are very niche, that are really hard to find right now. So I do see that a lot. I see a lot of companies looking for them, including where I am at. We are looking for folks in cybersecurity. And if you think about it, the more that we go online, everyone's working from home, people are having hard times. That is that is when more people try to run scams and, more people are online. So we need to protect our data and protect the operations that are happening for companies online. We see, even from an operational standpoint, with these financial systems like TD Ameritrade, their system went down for a couple of hours. Like, what in the world? So a lot of IT heavy roles, you need to definitely find your niche, not necessarily immediately, but during those first 3 years of when you're working, you should be figuring that out. So, and again, with tech, I feel like you don't necessarily need a degree. There are programs like Google has a certificate out right now where, okay, you spend a couple $100 or maybe a couple $1,000, nothing comparable to, 40K a semester, like a lot of students are paying to get essentially the main skills that Google is saying that they want as a company. So it's interesting. I think IT is really where, a lot of the jobs are going, of course. However, all that being said, sales is another one that is going to be important. So no, I don't think you need a degree necessarily in sales, but I go back to learning e-commerce and learning some essentials of how to be a good salesperson. That is going to be important as well. And then my last one, just within the medical space, are of course going to be, your anesthesiologists, your pharmacists, your doctors, all of those different types of roles. But then also folks with like biology and chemistry degrees that can work at like AbbVie or Pfizer and help with developing different vaccines and things of that nature. That can be another very lucrative field as well. And let's see. Oh, last one I will point out here is machine learning. So that goes very hand in hand with AI or artificial intelligence, but definitely something that I recommend, even if you have a computer engineering degree, if you can get a certificate or you can focus on a program with that, in mind and you learn, coming out of college, you're going to be golden. You're going to be, people are going to be looking for you. So those were the ones that I wanted to point out in this video. Let me look at some of the comments that just came in. Cub's been saying hello to everybody. Let's see. Oh, okay. I missed this one, I think. So embracing everyday realities says, I know what you were saying about statistics, but isn't the job market putting more emphasis on trade skills? Even though I agree with degrees you're mentioning, but these fields seem like, yeah. So in this, I wanted to talk about degree programs because a lot of the trade skills you do not need to go to college to jump into. If you're gonna be if you're gonna work on HVAC systems, that's always going to be there. You don't need a degree. You just need to maybe go to school for 2 years, learn what you need to, get under someone that can, further teach you. Or there's a lot of government programs. Like, for example, the state of New York has had different programs for folks to learn those type of trade skills. So I definitely agree with you. I think with statistics, for me, again, it is very broad. So it's all about what you do with it and how you personally develop and what your plan is. So it's like if you don't have a plan, it's going to be hard with maybe an economics or statistics degree. And here's the thing, a lot of students, if you ask the typical student, like, hey, what are you studying? Okay, why are you studying it? They're going to go, or they're going to say, oh, some pie in the sky dream of theirs. I want to work with, animals and support the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, have you thought about how you're going to make money with that? And if you took out student loans, how are you paying those back? So that's kind of the problem that we're in, is that we're not looking at the hard skills of what this degree program is going to do for me. And if it is more of a liberal arts, like a fine arts degree, I personally don't recommend getting a fine arts degree if you are trying to figure out what you want to do. But some of these really general degrees are not going to get a lot of these students where they need to be to let alone, just live a comfortable life, but to pay off their student loans. It's just not going to happen. And unless you kind of fall into something, which Sometimes some people are lucky, but a lot of students aren't. And then you find yourself in this mess. So for me personally, I would have chosen a different degree, something more technical, but I also developed my plan during college of moving into the HR field. And I kind of fell into that during college versus if I fell into it after college and just been like, I'm still trying to figure out my life, and not everyone's figured things out, but it's good to at least have a plan and know some of these things. Let's see. Mr. B says, I retired 2 years ago, but I want to go back into the working world. Okay, yes. I might have to have a different discussion on that, Mr. B, because and I have talked to, retired folks or people that have transitioned their career or wanting to transition their career, and it does take work. It will require a lot of you using your network. A lot of, like, everything with a job search, I always go back to starting with using your network and figuring out those transferable skills that you have. So if you look at a different job, job description, there's a lot of things that will be listed, but typically there are 2 to 3 crucial skills that are needed. So for you, I would say, looking into your crucial, like, what are your transferable skills, and finding, let's find where are some different industries, what are some different career routes where those transfer most easily, and go from there. Very good point. I like that you said that. I'm wishing all the best for you. Let me know how I can help. But I had a friend that came to me as well, a friend from college, who was looking to transition careers as well, which is kind of in that thinking stage. So for you, it all starts with research and figuring out what your skills are, and then you move from there with developing a plan. So I hope that helped, if you're still in here, Mr. B. Hello, real brother. I did not see you come into the chat. Hello, welcome. First off, great handle. Second, yes, the certification, I'm thinking is what you're saying. Let's see. Vernez is saying hi to everybody. Cool. Let's see here. Real brother says new phone. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna start coughing. I was like, what are you trying to say there? Okay, new phone, apologies. I was like, what is assertive? The certifications for specific programs can be amazing. I work with an engineer that got his degree in and through the job. Yeah. It took him to be an exponential salary upgrade. Yeah, and that's the other thing with, a lot of companies are requiring a degree, especially if you're wanting to move into management. Most require a degree just off the bat. Or they'll say, either you need a degree or you need 5 years of working experience. So that's a good point. But having a specific niche program that's just ideal, because you can really focus and become the expert in your field. And that's essentially what companies are paying for. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for experts to solve their problem on things that they have no clue how to tackle. So they need your knowledge. They need they need that skill set that you have. And that's what they're willing to pay for, because a lot of people may not have it. Let's see. Oh, yes, Renez. So still deciding if you want to go back into the professional workplace. Yeah, or dive into consulting. Consulting can be lucrative, I would say right now. Consulting is tough because a lot of the big firms, like, your Deloitte, your Ernst & Young, whatever, a lot of them have just not had the clients, a lot of their clients have just cut their spending with them because they just don't have it. So I have talked with many consultants because, these firms have let go of folks or have said like, hey, we're going to have to let you go. So folks have been looking for more stable full-time jobs. So I would say, just be careful with that. I think consulting is great. I like consulting for the fact that you get exposure to different industries and you get a lot of training. There's a lot of good that comes with consulting. Sometimes, one thing that I know with consulting, which is it's not going to be impacting right now, but typically consultants are traveling a ton, and some people don't like that. And then the other part of that is just typically you are working pretty long hours, but at the same time, I feel like we're all kind of working longer hours, especially being remote. Remote employees definitely work a lot more than the standard hours that you do in the workplace. So those are my thoughts. I am probably going to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so, but I am so happy to answer any questions. Again, just to kind of replay, I guess, what I was saying earlier. With the monster article, I did link the article below. There's plenty of different articles that are, telling folks this is what you should study in school. I think obviously it depends on the situation. For students that are not taking out student loans, I think they're able to be a little more flexible. But for folks that are saying, I am willing to take out a large amount of student loan in order to get a certain degree, the reason I wanted to make this video is I just want folks to understand, one, you're taking out 4 years of your time, and sometimes more if you're getting a graduate degree, but you're taking out 4 years of your time, which is time that you could be earning more money to get this degree, is one. And then the other part of that is, you're going into this debt. You want to understand what the path is for you, most likely. Now, we can't plan everything out. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you should know what your options are, and you should be able to know, okay, I'm taking out this amount of loan. I can pay this back within 5 years because I should be making a salary of this, and this is how I'm going to do it. The other thing that I feel some students don't really focus on either is actually working during college. So, certain students just kind of depend on their parents and they focus on school. I think it's crucial to focus on school, but I also do see that companies are requiring certain skills after you're out of college, even for internship programs. Like with the company I'm at now, with previous companies, we were looking for, if you're wanting to get an internship, we're looking for you to have already some type of experience, whether that is working on site with your campus, organizations, whatever. We need to see that. We also look for samples of work. So I talk about my experience working at a public relations agency. Well, I led a fellowship program there, and the requirements we had to get into this fellowship was you had to have already experience in ideally another agency or some type of organization that was specific to marketing and public relations. You had to provide multiple writing samples, so we had to see your work. You had to provide a cover letter. You had to provide a lot to make you stand out. For my creative folks, and I didn't touch on this earlier, and I should have had this on the list, but for my creative folks, having a portfolio. Now, another area that I do see as a good place to study would be anything within creative services. That could be web development, that could be graphic design, that can be video production, video editing, anything related to that. Definitely, I see that, being a lucrative field. Now, the track to 100K will vary. The quickest folks to get to 100K of that list are going to be your web developers, most likely, but also video producers. Depending on what track of work, I mean, we're going to need video producers. I think those that can focus on a niche skill, like maybe animation or, something that they can add into, is going to be crucial, because I've worked with video producers and creative types, and a lot of times when you're first starting out, you're kind of looked at as being the jack of all trades. Can you edit? Can you produce? Can you can you do a little copywriting? And that can help as well because you're able to freelance also. So freelancing is awesome. It can really fast track you to working with multiple clients, even having your own business. So creative services is going to be amazing for someone that has that, they are creative, of course, and they're able to get a degree program. You don't always need a degree with that, but a lot of large companies look for that as well. So that would be my other one. Let me see. So yeah, I mean, working with them, you definitely kind of see their process. Something that's missing a lot of times with my creative folks are just understanding the business. A lot of times they don't understand, the business. Sometimes they don't want to work with clients, and those are some things that can really get you paid into the 200, 300K. So, the more you move up and become like a creative director and you're managing overall, portfolios and things of that nature, you can really blossom. So let's see here. Oh, yes, happy holidays. I see everyone saying happy holidays. Yes, I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. Hope folks were able to see family. And if you weren't able to see family face to face, hopefully you're able to talk to everyone and maybe do FaceTime and things like that. But I've seen a lot of people traveling, so I imagine a lot of folks have seen their families in here. And hello, King Kill Vlogs. Welcome. I see you. Okay, hello, welcome. Mr. B says he's going to rewatch. Hey, that is okay because I did do a big portion of the degree programs in the beginning. So the first 30 minutes is where I had really the deep dive on those degree programs and where I talked about whether I agree or whether I don't agree. I basically agreed with about half of what monster.com put out, and I didn't agree with the rest. But it was a good article. I mean, I like that there is information like this for folks to have. And again, I just feel like students really need this information and really need to take more thought and planning into what they're getting themselves into with, with school. And even if you're not getting a degree with a loan attached to it, you're still spending 4 years of your time on this, degree program that can get you a job or it won't get you a job. And right now, I mean, looking at 2021, I am a little worried about the graduating class coming, out in May 2021, because I kind of foresee them having challenges very similar to the folks that graduated in 2008. Now, I didn't graduate college in 2008. However, I did talk to plenty of folks that were not able to find work. And so what did they do? They went ahead and took out more loans and they went to grad school because they couldn't find a job. So they thought, well, let me get a graduate degree, because they were seeing, job descriptions out there that were saying if you had a graduate degree, you can get this job. And so went back to school to get graduate degrees to make themselves more viable in the workplace, and then they, came out in about 2012, 2013, whatever, their grad program. And yes, some were able to find work because that was when the market started recovering again, about 2012, maybe 2011. However, the pay has been stagnant. So even if you are not taking out degrees, the pay starting out wages have really not changed from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And so stepping out into the work environment, yes, maybe you'll be able to find a job, but will it be paying lucratively? Maybe not starting out. So that's the challenge I have. That's why I really want you, if you're a student or if you know a student, please share with them or just tell them, help them kind of guide their way into a path that makes sense for them and makes sense for the degree program they're getting themselves into. And sometimes it just makes sense to change the degree. I started in college with a poli-sci or political science degree, and figured out I did not want to go to law school real fast. And so what I did, I just switched to something that I felt would allow me a little more um, options, I guess, to go into something else because political science, although it wasn't discussed in a Monster article, I would put that right along, really close to economics. Although economics, I would put, slightly above it because you do get some technical skill and really good understanding of, the market, micro, macroeconomics, which companies will need from a consulting perspective and analysis perspective. But political science, it's to me more of a liberal arts type of degree and only helps you more so if you're planning to work on campaigns or if you are planning to go to law school or something. So again, but you have to have that plan. I have a friend where she was studying nursing in college and she had to pivot herself into healthcare IT. And now she's doing great and working in that field. But she had been studying nursing for, I think it was 2 or 3 years, right whenever she got into clinicals, and realized, oh my gosh, I don't like touching people. And that's like a big part of being a nurse. You have to care for people, you have to touch people. And so she was able to pivot because she realized early, because she was able to, do clinicals. Another challenge with college is that, some students, they don't get into their field until they've already graduated. And so now they're working in their field and they're like, oh my gosh, I hate this. And it's like, what do I do now? Because it's either you go back to school or you pivot, but how do you pivot if you don't have the experience? So it's that age old, issue of you want a different job, but you don't have that experience. And at that crucial state, if you haven't had work experience at all, you have to kind of work that job or another job or whatever to get some type of experience, or you have to freelance, or you have to find some type of way to get the experience to prove that you are an expert. So again, companies are looking for experts in their field. So that's pretty much it for this video. I guess I can stay on here and make it a full hour here, but what questions do we have? And I'm going to look through and scan the chat to see if I missed comments, because I am good at that, especially with StreamYard. It seems really easy to miss things because it's all kind of looks the same unless you put in an emoji. It's all just gray. So let's see here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Hi, Rice and Beans. Welcome. So I have pretty much covered my topic. I don't know if you're just joining or if you've been in here for a minute, but any advice for male models? Get a second job. Male models. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, okay. I will check. Let me see. Let's see. I'm going to do that right now. Bernez, I see you. Wait, I don't know if I got anything. Bern, it's not showing me, and I mispronounced your name again. Bern, it's not showing me. Wait, let me see here. Yeah, I'm not seeing the message. Oh, I see you. Okay, you're going. All right. Let's see. So Real Brother says that was hilarious. No, I'm laughing. Normally I have my friend Paolindo in here to make me laugh. That was a good one, Rice and Beans. But no, you've been popping in and out. Haha, okay. Yeah, I thought that too, Real Brother. That's funny. I mean, I don't even understand how models are kind of still operating right now. But I still see advertisements, so I guess there's still models getting work, right? Especially, I'm wondering in New York, like what's happening there. To relaunch still the same? I'm still going through here, guys. Okay. I see your comment, King a Kill Vlog. So Are you saying what or why do people say, what do you say? Oh, what do I say to people who think that college is a waste of time and money? It can be. I mean, just like anything else, anything can be a waste of time and money if you don't have a plan of action and if it's the wrong, degree program. So, like I said, with computer engineering, that can be very lucrative. It is sought after. So, that would not be a waste of time and money as long as you do have an interest. Now, that's the other key to this. Sometimes students get into a degree program. Like for myself, I learned that I only wanted to move into political science and eventually go to law school because of really my mother encouraging it. So it wasn't, at a time I was somewhat interested in it and I could kind of see myself as a lawyer, a corporate lawyer. But after I started talking to people, I understood that that just wasn't for me at the time. And a lot of students I see do not do that research and don't really understand why they even want to do something. They're doing it because, like, I have a lot of Nigerian friends and their parents are like, okay, what are we doing here? You're either going to become a doctor or a lawyer, right? So they move into one of those fields because that's what their family expects of them. Or even my Indian friends, where they are you going to go study medicine, pharmacy, engineering? Like, what? Those are the options. So it's, it is a mix of what do you actually want to do? What do you get some enjoyment out of? And then also making sure that you can align that, what you like to do, with what's gonna get you paid. So yes, I do feel like college can be a waste of your time and a waste of your money if you are just kind of going through the motions as a student and you don't really know what you're trying to do. It's just like anything else. If you're going to buy a car, okay, you can buy the car and let it sit somewhere and be pretty. If it's like, a collectible and it's going to increase in value over time, right? Seems like a smart idea. Great. But if you're buying the car, a really expensive car, and you're going to drive for Uber, like you're going to get a Porsche and you're going to drive for Uber with the Porsche and you're going to do wear and tear on that car, probably not the best idea. Whereas if you're getting like a really cheap car and you're going to drive for Uber or something, okay, that probably makes sense for you. It just depends on what you're actually going to do with it. And I think that's what we've gotten away from, especially here in the United States. I also think Canadians have had a bit of this problem with degree programs. I've seen different stories on them. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to wrap it up here with just saying it really just depends on what you do with your degree program. Do research, use multiple sites, talk to people that are actually doing that job shadow if you can. At one point, I was thinking about becoming a nurse, and I did a job shadow in order to figure out if that's something I really wanted to do, or if it was just kind of like it sounded good, paid well, seemed okay. Because again, you're spending the time, you're spending the energy, you're spending your money, and it is an investment. And students, a lot of the time, whether they're younger, whether they're older, I see people going back to school and they still don't know what in the world they want to do, right? But they're still spending this money. But if we look at it as an investment and we do that research and make a plan, I think any student can be successful. So that's how I want to wrap up this live stream. And I appreciate everyone for joining. And thank you so much, Mr. B. I appreciate you being here along with everybody else. And then I am going to be doing an interview later today, if I see him, with No Tooth Tony interview. So I will be doing an interview with him at 2 p.m. today. He is out there on Instagram, so feel free to follow him. No Tooth Tony. I'm going to write that real quick. Interviews. And I believe that's his Instagram. So that's what we're doing later. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Again, it's Jessica Hicks here with another live stream, and I will see you in my next video or live chat. Bye, guys.